changes it around. But if you want to know how to do it on the calculator, here it is. Okay? Okay. Formula page vocabulary. Area and perimeter, you want to know. You have a formulas page on the math test, so you don't have to memorize these formulas. Thank goodness for that. Area is the measure of the surface of a flat shape. Like this table, this is the area. It's what would be on top if we had a tablecloth or we wanted to resurface it. That's different from the perimeter. The perimeter is the edge. Okay? And the way to get those is like this. The area is going to tell you by the formulas page. I think it looks like this, Carol. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it looks like this. A equals L times W. Is that what it looks like? Okay? What does that mean? The length comes to width. If this table is 1.5 feet by 5 feet, what would the area be on your calculator? 1.5 times 5. Should be 7.5. 7.5, right? Okay, what would the perimeter be if it's 1.5 foot by 5 feet? How would I get perimeter? I'd go 1.5 plus 5 plus 1.5 plus 5, which to me is 3 plus 10, right? That's all we're basically doing is adding all the sides up. And however you want to do that is fine. If you want to go 5 plus 1.5 plus 5 plus 1.5, that's fine. If you want to go 5 times 2 plus 1.5 times 2, that's fine. However, as long as you end up adding all the sides up together, that's perimeter. Okay? Make sense? See the difference? Okay. On a circle, of course, you've got different vocabulary. This is not that bad as long as you know what these words mean, but if you don't, it's so hard. Here's a circle, here's that. The circumference is what they call the perimeter in a circle. It's a different name. The circumference is just the distance all the way around it. Right? The diameter is all the way across through the center point. This diameter is exactly the same as this, is exactly the same as this. It's all the way across through the center. The radius is from the center point to any point on the outside of the circle. Do you notice a relationship between the radius and the diameter? What would that be?
Half of it.
Yeah, the radius is half as long as the diameter. The diameter is twice as long as the radius. Logic, right? And that's good to know because sometimes you'll need to know the radius to complete a formula, but you only have the diameter. Well, you can figure out the radius if you have the diameter. We're going to do that. Okay. Let's practice. The area of a circle. If you don't know what this means, it is of no help to you. So let's make sure we know what it means. A means area equals, what's this?
3.15.
That's pi. That's that EXP button, 3.14 and some change. R means
Radius.
and this means
Times
square, not times 2, times itself twice. Notice I don't see a plus or a minus or anything in here. What do I do with those two things? Right. Because this is an algebraic formula. If you just see two things next to each other, two variables next to each other, that means we multiply those two. Okay. So, let's see what we got. Here we've got a nice circle. We know the radius is 4 meters. So let's get our calculator out. We're going to do area equals pi times the radius squared. Okay. Pi. How do I get that?
The bottom.
The EXP. Ready with me? 3.14 times. Even though I don't see a times here, I know I have to multiply. So let's hit times. What's the radius? 4. Yeah. 4. And then the X square button.
16.
And then here's the crucial thing. Equals. Because if I don't hit equals, all it's telling me is 4 squared. Hit equals and what do you get?
50.26.
That's the area. Okay, that's the area. Okay, we're not done with this one yet. We're going to come back to you. We'll pick a circle. Circumference of a circle. The circumference equals pi times the diameter. And on the formulas page, does it look like this?
Well, it's written out in words on the formula page.
I'm sorry?
It's written in words.
It's written out in words, okay. Pi times the diameter. That's not too bad. You know those things. Okay, so let's hit our pi. Times. What's the diameter?
7.
Equals It depends on how the question's asked. If this is a multiple choice question, go with whatever's closest. If this is one of those, you know, the alternate format questions where you have a little grid, then I would put 21.99. That's exactly what I would put. You have enough space for five digits or 5 characters there, I would use that. Do you agree, Carol? Okay. The radius of this one is 4 meters. What's the diameter?
Oh, it'll be 8.
8, yeah. The diameter of this one is 7 inches. What's the radius? The radius would be twice as much, right? The radius is from here out. So what would that be? 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. Okay, we good? Oh, thank you. Oh, that's nice. You're ready for me. And I don't know if the GED looks exactly like this. It does. That would be very kind of them to make it. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's practice. Paula is ordering a cover for her circular swimming pool. Which of the following covers will fit her pool? Before you start messing with numbers, what do we want to know? The circumference, the area, what are we looking for? We're looking for the area, right, because we want to cover for the pool, and we'd like to cover this. Okay, so we know the radius. Let's, oh yeah, what are we looking for? We're looking for area. What is our formula? Pi times the radius squared. And I'm just going to say this again, just in case this escaped anyone, you don't have to memorize the formulas. You will have access to them on both parts of the math test. Do we know the radius? We surely do. It's 9 meters. What's the correct answer? Okay, let's do it together. Somebody want to talk me through it? Pi times 9 x squared equals. Is our answer up there?
Yeah.
I love it when the answer's up there. It's C. And guys, unfortunately, on a question like this, there's not a whole, right? You with me? Now what? Cross multiply, 9 times 8 is? Divide by 6. Okay, then you're not done because you haven't given it the common sense check. Does it make sense that this would be 12? Well, 12 is more than 9, just like 8 is more than 6. It's not double 9, it's not twice as much, right? And this isn't twice as much. If you ended up with a number here like 20, you could say, I don't think that's right. Because 20 is more than twice as much as 9. But 8 is not twice as much as 6. So it's got to be a smaller number. You can check yourself that way. Okay. Yes, ma'am?
Would they have a test question like this where they look exactly the same but they're different sizes?
On the practice test, sometimes they have things that are not drawn to scale. Often it will say this is not to scale, so that you can't kind of eyeball it and figure it out. I don't know about the real thing. Is that kind of what you'd see? But I put this PowerPoint together myself, and I couldn't figure out how to stretch that triangle, so. All right, what do we do with this?
Do they do it off scale to throw you off, or what?
I can't,
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
yeah, I don't know why they would
It's
do that.
just it's a commonly done thing that, working with geometry, they want you to really look at the numbers and not the actual graphic representation of it. So it's, wherever you would encounter that, that would be the case. I think they just mimic the real world. So it's not intentionally for you. But don't go by what you see graphically, go by the numbers.
Right. Okay, the percentage proportion. Percents, more than anything else in my experience teaching math, people come into a math class with different backgrounds on how they learn to do percents. There are a lot of different ways to do them. If you've got a way that you love and that works for you, tune out for a few minutes because I don't want to confuse you. Okay? If you don't have a way that you love, you want to pay close attention to this because I love the percent proportion, which is percent over 100 equals the part or the is over the whole or the of. If you like this, burn it into your brain because you'll use it, not just on the GED test either. You use it a lot. I use it a lot. The two things that I like most about this, I don't have to turn percents into decimals or back or the other way around. I leave it just how it is. The other thing I love about it is just this one proportion tells me how to solve for percent, how to solve for part, or how to solve for over whole. We have GED math books that try to teach you 3 formulas to solve for those 3 things. I don't want to have 3 formulas in my head if I can have 1, and I can have 1 doing this. We're always going to know the 100. It's never going to change. We'll always know 2 of these or 3 of these things. Let's look at the percentage portion. Okay. This is not a problem that I'm about to give you. It doesn't have anything missing. I'm only showing it to you so we can identify the percent, the part, and the whole, okay? Mr. Smith's class has 25 students. 10 of the students are girls. Girls make up 40% of Mr. Smith's class. To simplify, another way to say this would be 40% of 25 is 10. I like the is and the of because I can use percent over 100 equals is over of instead of part over whole, but either way is fine. What is the percent? 40. 40%. What is the part? 10. Yeah. The part of his class that are girls is 10. And the whole class? 25. And I show you this because people sometimes, usually the percent's pretty obvious if it's given, but they sometimes get the part and the whole mixed up. So I wanted to let you know that the whole is everything we're talking about. It's 100%. But it's with a number. And the part is, of course, part of that. So let's practice. Oh, well, let me show you something. So using our percent over 100 equals part over whole, 40 over 100 equals the part, which is 10, over the whole, which is 25. And if I were to multiply, 100 times 10 is 1,000, 40 times 25 is 1,000, so they are equal. Okay, let's try it out. The Little League concession stand sold hot dogs to 104 people on Monday. This was 40% of the people attending the game. How many people attended the game? Okay. Always, I start with this and fill out everything I know. Okay, remember our percent proportion, percent over 100. 100 equals the part over the whole. I can always put that 100 in first. It just makes me feel nice to have something to fill in before I even have to start thinking. Now I'm going to know 2 of the other 3 things. What do we know? We know the percent is 40. Is 104 the part or the whole? Oh, I hear some conflicting answers here. It's the part, yes. The Little League concession stand didn't sell hot dogs to everybody. It only sold hot dogs to 104 people. What they want to know is that who's everybody? How many total people attended the game? So 104 is the part which goes on top, and what we don't know is the whole. Okay. So think carefully when you have to determine which is the part and which is the whole. Okay. Cross multiply 100 times 104 is 10,400. Divide by 40 and you should get 260. Everybody get that on their calculator? Using some fast fingers? Common sense check, because we're not done until we've done a common sense check. 40% is less than half, but not by a whole lot. Is 104 less than half of 260?
No.
Yeah, it's less than half. Because half of 260 would be 130.
Yeah.
This is a little less. Not by a whole lot, so that would be a common sense check. If you ended up with an answer larger than 260, I'm sorry, if we were solving for 260, if we ended up with an answer of like 50, we would know that was wrong. Because if 104 people bought hot dogs, there couldn't have only been 50 people at the game, right? If we ended up with an answer like 1,000 or 10,400, we could say, wait a second, that's a lot, that number should be a lot less because 104 should be slightly less than half. You good so far? Okay, remember you're always going to know the 100 on the bottom. And you'll always know 2 of the other 3 values. You're solving for the last one. First, find out whether you're looking for the part, the whole, or the percent. That's going to be the part that you don't have. Then fill in the other values. Cross multiply and divide. And then check to make sure your answer is reasonable. That's how to do a simple percent problem. Often on the GED practice test at least, you have a percent of decrease or increase. And this throws people. But it's really not that bad. It's still pretty simple math. I did it again.
It's the
It's a button.
yeah, it's a button on the pen.
There we go. Let's try it. Now I know what I'm doing. Sometimes a problem is going to give you an additional step, a percent of increase or a percent of decrease. This one is from the practice test. The Johnsons bought their home for $100,000 a few years ago. Since then, the home has increased in value by 8.5%. What is the current value of their home? There are so many places in this problem you can go wrong, but we're not going to look at it. Okay. So 8.5% is how much the value has increased. But 8.5% doesn't tell us how much money it's increased by. That's what we need to know. We need to know 8.5% of 100,000 is what? So I set my proportion up. 8.5% over 100 equals the part over 100,000. Does that part make sense? Okay. Then we're going to cross multiply and divide. And we come up with 8,500. What does this 8,500 actually mean? What is that? In this problem, $8,500 is what? Is that the current value? That's how much the home is increased by. It's gone up by $8,500. It's not the current value, but guys, for sure, this will be one of the answers because you're halfway there. They love to give you those halfway there answers. But you could look at that, and if you gave it a common sense check and say, man, how was it that the house was worth $100,000 a few years ago, and now it's only worth $8,500? And they said the value's increased. That can't be right. This is only halfway there. This is how much it's increased by. But what they want to know is the current value of their home. So what's the next step? Add them together. It's just simple addition. $100,000 plus $8,500 is $108,500. That's the new value of their home. It's gone up by $8,500. You like? All right. Okay, moving on. Any questions about proportions or percents before we move on? Okay, measures of central tendency. This is really a little bit of a vocabulary test. If you know what the vocabulary means, the math is not that bad. But what messes people up is sometimes they get the vocabulary mixed up. We're not going to let that happen. Mean, median, mode, and range are the 4 measures of central tendency that the GED test expects you to know. And the big 2 are mean and median. And they're the ones people get mixed up. Right? So we're going to talk a lot about that. Okay, so we're going to use Sandra and her bowling games as our data set for these questions. Sandra bowled 7 games on Saturday afternoon. You see her scores. We're going to find the mean, median, mode, and range of those scores. Okay? Let's start with mean. Anybody know another name for the mean? The average. The mean is exactly the same thing as the average. Good. Anybody know how to get the average? Exactly. Good. That's exactly what we're going to do to find the mean or the average. And sometimes on the practice test, it'll tell you mean and then say average in parentheses. I just don't want you to count on it. I want you to know this word even if you don't see average. Okay, add all the scores together, all the values together, and divide by the number of scores. So Sandra bowled these. Let's get out your calculator. We're going to do a little fast finger again. Her scores were 220, 189, 150, 245, 150 again, 177, and 120. What am I doing with all those? I'm adding them. Do I have to add the 150 twice? Oh, yeah.
1251.
1251. Okay. Now we divide it by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She bowled 7 games. And the answer is 178.71. We're going to round that up to 179. That's it. It's not that bad. Questions about mean. Can you do this? And often they give you mean questions on the first half where you have your calculator because it's really just a calculation and a vocabulary question. Finding the median. Median is a little bit different. You have to do an additional step. It's the middle value in a set of ordered values. In other words, you have to take those 7 bowling scores and you have to put them in order from the smallest to the largest. Okay? We're not going to waste our time doing this. Here's how it looks. Okay? Again, I've got 150 twice. I need to have it listed twice. Okay? If there is an odd number of scores, your work is done for you. Because there's one nice, pretty score right in the middle, right? I'm going to go bing, 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 170. See that? One score in the middle. Got 3 on either side, 170. So I'm sorry, 177 is my answer. If you haven't, sorry. I'm sorry, that was me. I'm going fast. I'm trying to get this all done by 1. If there's an even number of scores, then we have to do an additional step, but it's not that bad. I'll show you what we do. Example, if we have 12, 13, 14, 16, 16, and 18, we've actually got two scores in the middle. You see what I mean? We have to average those two scores. When we know how to average, we add them together and divide by 2. Probably you could look at those two and know 15's right smack dab in the middle, that's fine. But if you need to do the math, if it's more complicated numbers, add those two scores in the middle together and divide by 2. You're averaging the 2 in the middle to find the middle value, the median. Okay. Mean is average. Add them all together, divide by how many you added. Median, we have to put them in order. Find the middle score. After that, mode and range are no big deal. Mode is simply the value that appears most often in the list. There's only one number that appears twice in this list. What is it? That's it. So that's the mode. The range is, look at the largest number, the highest number, look at the lowest number, and subtract the lowest one from the highest. That's it. And it's kind of like saying, in April, the high temperatures have ranged from 85 degrees to 60 degrees. What's the range? And I could say there's 25 degrees between those two. That's all they're looking for. 85 minus 60, there's 25 degrees in that range of scores. Does that make sense? Can we move on to something else now? Yes.
It just occurred to me, it could be useful to anchor the meaning of median, to think about another way it's used, where you read in the newspaper, well, this vehicle struck that vehicle and it rolled over onto the median. Well, where's the median? It's in the middle of the road. Okay, so you're looking for the thing in the middle.
That's a good point, yeah. That's a good way to use median. Thank you, that's great. Okay, calculator basics. Just a few things I want you to know about the calculator. Oh, thank you. No, I want you to use yours.
Okay.
Oh, you don't? All right. Well, we'll use it together, just in case you feel like it. Okay, there's a thing on this calculator you're going to want to know, and it's called pi. And here's how you get there. Okay. Look at the bottom row of buttons. Right in the middle you see an EXP. Hit that, please. And what do you see? 3.14 and some change. This is pi. If you're looking right at the bottom row, there's an EXP right in the middle. If you hit that, you see, you're getting pi. 3.14 and some change. That's a really useful thing to have on the calculator because it makes it more precise if you use that long decimal answer than if you just use 3.14 in your head. And we're going to talk a little bit about pi in a minute. Okay, I want to tell you about the shift key. And take a little segue here to talk a little bit about roots. Okay. If you look at the very top row, you'll see something that says x squared. It has an x, and it has a little square right above it, like this. You see that? Any idea what that means? Not the square root. Square root is something a little different. This means I'm going to take a number and I'm going to multiply it by itself. So let's say I have the number 5, and I square it. What does that mean? 5 times. Nobody said 5 times 2. You guys are awesome. It means 5 times 5. It means I take this base number and I multiply it by itself this many times. Certainly you could say 5 times 5 on your calculator and that will work fine. But another way to do it is to say 5 and then hit that little x square button. And what do you get? Easy sneezy. Notice right above that x square, you see this. What is this? You see it in orange. That's the square root. This basically undoes this. In the same way that division undoes multiplication or subtraction undoes addition, this is kind of the opposite of squaring something. So if I had 25 and I wanted to know what two numbers can I multiply by